stories. Give me a breakdown here of what guys we should be looking at for laying down some money.
Well, the first thing you're going to look at is clearly a guy who's in the top 20 to 30 in driving distance. Because if you look at the course layout, as we just discussed, it's much more like a U.S. Open course than it is a PGA Championship course. And the U.S. Open being played here twice before, and we've had some Barclays events here the last couple of years on and off, switching off with a couple of courses over in New Jersey. But this course is long, so you're going to want some long hitters. A couple of, obviously the favorites are almost all of them are long hitters. You have obviously Koepka. You have obviously Rory, and just all the favorites are all big hitters, and that's where you got to look. If you're looking for some medium range shots, we'll get into that. But as far as all the favorites, they're favorites for a reason because they can hit the ball straight, they can hit the ball down the fairway, and they can hit the ball long, and that's what you're really looking for. And some of the names that I just mentioned there, Koepka, obviously DJ, and Rory are the three favorites and favorites for a reason, and we'll get into Tiger and his length in a couple of minutes.
Right, and given we're here with Robbie Rosenhaus of WFAN, give me some guys here, and I guess I can kind of get the hint you were telling me, guys that aren't able to drive the ball as far as these guys like DJ, like Koepka, that can really just hit it. Give me some guys that maybe did a pretty good job at the Masters, like in Adam Scott. Is Adam gonna, players like Adam maybe struggle on these types of courses? Give me some guys that you are gonna stay away from coming into this weekend.
Yeah, I would say Adam Scott is one. I mean, on the other hand, I do like his Australian counterpart, Jason Day, but we'll get into him. Adam Scott's a guy that, has won majors before, obviously has won a couple of Masters, has won a British, but is not, I don't think, even though he does hit the ball long, I'm not sure his scrambling is the greatest.
Right.
And we've seen on some of these tougher courses his ability to throw up big numbers. So I would also look for guys who scramble well. Like a Sergio Garcia, for example, a guy who's able to chip it to get it up and down in two from the rough. Because the rough on this course, when I tell you I've played it twice, I've walked it over 50 times, and I grew up a mile from the course, so the rough, the fescue on this course that surrounds the fairways, it really, really rewards guys that are accurate. So fairway accuracy also is definitely something to look at here. So accuracy and length, which is, in any major championship, are two big things, but especially on this course, which, as we said, is a beast.
Real quick, Robbie, Jordan Spieth, who I used to love, he has just really struggled these last few tournaments here. Do you see, can Spieth break out here? You can get him at a pretty good number on DraftKings. What do you think about Jordan Spieth? Can he turn it around here?
Well, I mean, his last victory came in July of 2017
crazy.
At the British Open. I mean, it's crazy, and it put him in position to win the career Slam. He would only be the sixth player after the five. So, I don't think he's going to win this week. He's a long shot for a reason. I mean, he's yet to record a top 20 this calendar year. His highest finish was tied for, I think, 21st at the Masters. And he's ranked 39th in the rankings, and that's the lowest he's been ranked since he became a professional 6 years ago. So he's really struggling. I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't put any of my money, your money, or anybody else's money on Spieth this week. But here's hoping he can get it turned around for when they go overseas in a couple of months.
All right,
his last major.
Before we get your sleepers and your overall picks, let's get in to Tiger Woods, 43 years old, coming off that incredible Masters victory, which I still, to this day, I'll still say that Molinari and Koepka lost more than Woods won. I think Woods just played the course smart and really just looked like a savvy vet out there. Tell me about Tiger coming into this weekend. What do you? How does he look? What do you think? Can he? I just can't see it. I can't see him winning this weekend. But give me your thoughts here on Tiger and how much of a shot you give him.
Well, first of all, Tiger's only won the first two majors of the year once in his career. That was in 2002 when they were ironically at Augusta National and Bethpage Black. So he was the only one to shoot under par that week, as we discussed earlier. He's a guy who obviously everybody's going to bet. If you're sentimental and you want to throw a couple of bucks on him from a gambling aspect, that's fine. From a pure player's perspective, I mean, you can look at his Masters performance and see his back nine on Sunday as a sign that he's strengthening and that he's not going to show any signs of wearing down here on this long course. It is 4 days on a very, very long course. He obviously hasn't played it in a long time. Back in 2009, on the first day it rained, he caught the bad side of the weather and wasn't able to recover on the weekend. Lucas Glover won on a Monday finish. Phil actually finished second in that U.S. Open. So I think Tiger has a chance, but he wouldn't be somebody that I would put my money on. I think it'd be fascinating to see if we get 20 years later, because Tiger's 43 now, Sergio is about to be 39. Back in 99 at Medina when Tiger and Sergio went down the stretch, we all thought that they were going to be two rivals, for the next however many years, and we've seen how their careers have gone. Tiger's won all these majors. Sergio obviously just has the one, the Masters, so we'll see if Sergio can get another one. This course may suit him as well.
We're here with Robbie Rosenhaus of WFAN. Before we get into the sleepers real quick, tell me about John Daly. And just, the news is he's able to use a cart because of his body. Is this bad for golf? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's somewhat... I mean, no one has John Daly winning or even coming close, obviously. Does he have some sort of an advantage not being able to walk this? Is this bad for golf? Give me your thoughts on John Daly in this championship, PGA.
Well, it's very interesting because as we just talked about, Tiger had some things to say. He basically said, I walked on a broken leg. So, I mean, he was, he played on torn ligaments in his left knee in the 08 U.S. Open.
Yep, he won the U.S. Open on a torn, I think it was a torn meniscus, it said in the book.
Yeah. He beat Rocco Mediate in the playoff.
Yep.
And they both made amazing putts. I remember sitting in my apartment watching that and just fascinated. And Rocco Mediate, this was a guy that, it could have been your dad, a PTA dad he wasn't a guy who was in the spotlight. I mean, John Daly did come back and wish Tiger Woods had all the facts before he made comments, but he's not going to have access to every area on the course and the cart, and much of the access is going to be dependent obviously on the weather. He suffered some arthritis in his right knee and he requested the cart. I can't get on him. I mean, the guy wants to play. He's obviously a former champion, so he's in the field, but I can't get on him. And I think that golf just has to accept it. I think that if you're gonna snub your nose at it and kind of be like, well, he shouldn't be doing it, I think that's wrong. I definitely think that he has the right to do it if he's severely injured, and obviously if he has some sort of clearance from a doctor that he can play. I think that the cart would aid him. So I think, and obviously I've walked the course, so I know how difficult it can be. So I don't find anything wrong with it whatsoever.
All right, let's hear it. The Robert Rosenhaus, which he hates when I call him Robert, but I'll call him that anyway. Give me your sleepers here coming into this weekend. Let's hear them.
All right, I got two sleepers for you, two guys who are mid-priced. The first guy is Tony Finau. Now, he launched a bid on the weekend but failed on Sunday in the Masters after an opening round 74. He played great over the last three rounds. He's got 4 top 10s and a pair of top 5s in the last 5 majors. He was the 54 hole leader at last year's U.S. Open, and he entered the final round of last month's Masters in second. As I just said, I think a round of 10 to 12 under will win it. I think that Finau can go on a birdie binge. He's in the top 5 in driving distance. He bombs. I think the New York crowd can get behind him. He's at 30 to 40 to 1, something like that. I would throw, a couple of bucks on him, and that would be one sleeper. And the other guy is a guy from across the pond, and that's Ian Poulter. Guy who's been really, really close.
He has been.
Really good Ryder Cup player, so I know the fans are going to be on him this week in advance of the Ryder Cup coming here in a few years to Bethpage Black. And that should be a really raucous atmosphere. The fans, by the way, will get behind Phil Mickelson, as you'll see here across these 4 days. The New York fans, the Bethpage fans, they love Phil Mickelson. Now they'll cheer for Tiger, too. Don't get me wrong. But Phil, if he's in contention, we'll hear the loudest roars on the course. So Finau and Poulter. I like Ian Poulter. He's had a resurgence. This is a guy who almost didn't qualify for majors last year, had to qualify just to get in majors. And has really, really sharpened up his game. He drives the ball great. If he can just get his iron play good, I think he's 60, 70, 80 to 1, something like that. I haven't really looked at the odds in the last couple of days. I would throw a couple of bucks on him. So Tony Finau and Ian Poulter are my two mid-range sleepers for fantasy, or if you want to throw a couple of bucks down for this year's PGA Championship.
I love the Tony Finau pick. He played really well in the Masters. He was really neck and neck that whole tournament. Ian Poulter, another guy that's been playing really well. I might take you up on that Finau little sleeper. I do like that. So we'll see how he does. Let's get to your picks here. Okay, you can give me three. One is it's very hard to predict, but give me three here that you feel confident in that are going to win this tournament.
Well, first of all is Rory. I mean, he's number one on the PGA Tour in strokes gained per round at 2.7. There's only two other golfers currently over 2. He's got 2 PGA Championship wins. He finished in the top 10 at the U.S. Open at Bethpage in 2009 as a 20-year-old, and only has one finish outside the top 10 on the PGA Tour this season in stroke play events. He's been red hot. He doesn't have a top 15 of the PGA since 2014, so it's been a while since he's been in contention at this championship. But I think a lot of that has been a couple of years. He was hurt. He wore down. He took a couple of events off late in those years because he was worn down. I believe he had the wrist injury one of those years. But I think Rory's back. I think this course is made for him, tailor-made for him. And I think if he keeps the ball straight off the tee, he may win by 2 or 3 strokes. So Rory is number 1. That would be my pick. Number 2, very hard to go against Brooks Koepka for a top 5. I know that's talk, but yeah, he's got in the top 20s in majors since the start of 2015. He's got 12, including 3 wins. Obviously, the two U.S. Opens at Shinnecock here on Long Island and Erin Hills, and the PGA last summer. He's the defending champ. So he's got 12 top 20s at majors since the start of 2015, which is just immaculate. He's obviously great off the tee. He's been in contention. He goes in contention every tournament he's in, and he's a lock for the top 5. I would be stunned if he wasn't on the final leaderboard come Sunday. And then the third guy is a guy who's, I think, about 18 to 20 to 1, and that's a guy who I mentioned before in contrast to Adam Scott, and that's Jason Day.
Yeah.
1 4-round cost him at Augusta. He's really, really stinging from that. I've watched some interviews with him. I got to meet him the other day here at Bethpage. He wants to atone for it. He's finally healthy. If you've seen him over the last couple of years, he's had some nagging injuries. So he's one of the best players in the world. This guy was a former number 1.
Yep.
So I'm picking Day to finish top 3. You could probably get a good price on that. Maybe 6-7 to 1, something like that.
Dude, but Jason Day, I actually put a little money on Jason Day. He is plus 2,200 right now.
Wow.
There
you go.
A lot.
22 to 1. Yeah. So Day, Rory, and Koepka would be my 3 favorites, and then Finau and Poulter would be my 2 mid-range guys.
Real quick, and I'll let you go. Jon Rahm, what are your thoughts? Because I like him this tournament, and I bet on him.
Well, there's a guy that completely mentally capitulates whenever faced with pressure. And there's no better place to face pressure than the city that never sleeps, than New York, New York. So the fans are going to be on him. I mean, listen. You can bet him. I know he's a big hitter. I understand he hits the ball a mile.
That's why I love him.
But one hole, and he completely unravels. And that's not a guy that mentally I want to have my money on. So good luck with that.
Fair enough. Robbie Rosenhaus, the best of the best. Thanks again, Robbie. We will talk to you soon. Awesome insight. I remember during the fall, I got the same question over and over again by people, by my friends, by people that listen to the show. Is Kirk Cousins worth the money? Okay, and I had to answer that numerous times. You know the question I'm starting to get now a lot as the Twins continue their dominance.